Hi, Scorpios. Welcome to your March 2019 Tarology 33 reading. We have Celtic Whisper in front of us. You guys got some extra cards in the position of your influence on the situation, the environment's influence, and then also the outcome position. And then we have Oracle cards, as always, to help tie everything together, and then a mudra card as well. For the Spirit Animal Oracle, you guys actually got 3 cards, which is a record, so got a lot to get to there. So first glance, this looks like this is definitely going to be a continuation of the theme that you guys had going for your February reading. Maybe not for the whole month, but it looks like at least coming into the month, you'll still be dealing with that dynamic. But we'll see whatever messages we get with it too. Let's just get started. In the main situation position, we have the Two of Swords. So this is actually a Libra card. First 10 degrees of Libra, so some of you can be dealing with the Libra, definitely. But more importantly than that, what I see with this card really is trying to make a decision, usually it's obviously between two choices, but trying to base that decision strictly on logic, because if we look at the water there representing emotions, or even the moon representing emotions, this person clearly has their back turned to that, right? And then they have a blindfold on, so it's like they're strictly trying to rely on their mind, right, to make a decision. So, for you guys being water signs, that's, not necessarily the normal course of action you would take, but that's the vibe that I'm getting there, is you're trying to decide between something. And the reason why I say, this has that feel like it's a continuation of last month's reading, which I think was a breakup to make up for you guys. Just feels like that's what's going on. Like you're still on the fence about the situation, and there's some surrounding cards that lead me to believe that that's the case. But as the spread goes along, we'll develop the story a bit more. In the challenger obstacle position, you guys got the Eight of Cups. So this represents walking away too. If we look at those cups as emotions as well, we could even say that might even be emphasizing even more that you're trying to make a decision devoid of emotion. But I'm almost looking at the moon, and it's almost like looking at you too, like, really, can you make up your mind already? You know what I mean? Because with the two of swords in the main position, and then this is a challenge, it's like, could just be saying the challenge or obstacle is for you to walk away from something, right? And with the blindfold on there, it's like you might know deep down already. If we look at especially turning it back on the water, which is your element anyway, so it's like intuitively you might just know deep down that, okay, it's time for me to walk away from this, right? But it's just actually getting you to do it. Or it could even be that this is a back and forth situation, like I said, if that breakup to makeup reading from last month resonated for you guys. It could just be that same dynamic where you're just going back and forth with the same person or situation. Could also, it's definitely most likely a relationship, as far as, who leaves a job and comes back to it over and over, right? That's usually not how things work in the work sector, but it could be friendships as well, and just maybe even creativity. Maybe you're going back and forth about launching something and you can't make up your mind. But I'm definitely getting that energy of going back and forth with something. And like I said, I'm pretty sure that was the general vibe you guys had going last month too. In the foundation position, we have the Knight of Pentacles. So this is actually a card that represents Virgo energy. So some of you could be dealing with Virgos. This also just represents making an offer, but usually being very slow to do so. Like, of all the knights in the deck, this is the slowest moving one. But usually it tends to be a stable, legit offer. It's just that it might be slow coming. So again, it could be that again. Maybe you've been waiting to hear something. So maybe a job offer, for example, for some of you, especially with the Ace of Pentacles in the environment position. Again, going back to the relationship dynamic, maybe if you're right now in the breakup phase, let's say, right, and maybe you're waiting for the person to make an offer to you, or maybe the whole thing is you're wanting it to be more of a serious offer, right? Because we have the Seven of Swords at the bottom of the deck. So maybe this is, you feel like you're dealing with someone who's non-committal, right? Like they'll give you the impression. Let me just pull this card up. Like they'll give you the impression, right, with the two swords there that, oh, yeah, we're totally going to be in a relationship, but then they're like leaving it behind, right? They're not really committing to it. So, maybe they've always been giving you that promise. Oh yeah, definitely we'll get in a relationship, we'll be in something serious, but they're not really committing to it. So you're waiting for that, right? That's what you're waiting for in the foundation position. In the past, we have the Death card, which is your major arcana card. So this could just be saying in the past you were very much in your element, feeling like yourself, as opposed to now with the Two of Swords, that's not being in your element, right? So maybe in the past you felt more sure about things, maybe now you're confused, right? And maybe it's just been a back and forth cycle. Because if this represents you versus the other person, then that would represent, okay, you go back and forth between feeling like yourself and then feeling out of your element. Um, Energetically, too, though, this could just be saying, again, with the on again, off again. If this doesn't just speak to your energy as Scorpio, this could just be saying that in the past you ended things with this person, right? And maybe you walked away. Maybe that's what the Eight of Cups was about. It's like you did walk away at one point, but now you're in that Two of Swords energy trying to debate, well, should I go back, right? Maybe you're like, oh, should I make an offer to them again, right? So it definitely has that on again, off again vibe to it. Um, which is, I feel like that's not normally your style either as Scorpios, you know what I mean? Like you'll stay through the thick and thin with someone, but I feel like usually when you do leave, you leave for good. So it's weird that I'm getting that vibe in that regard. But again, maybe it's just like a karmic connection that you guys still have something you have to work through together, and like part of you feels like you're definitely over it and ready to move on, but something keeps pulling you guys back together, right? That could be what's going on there. Um, that's the case. Looks like there's some energies at play that will shift that as the month moves along. You guys, right now, actually, well, I'm recording this in the middle of February because I have to travel, but speaking in the context of March, you guys are going to have Mars in your opposite sign the entire month of March. It'll get there in the middle of February, so just so you have an idea. So coming into this reading, you already have Mars in your opposite sign, and Uranus is actually going to be going there, I think, right around the end of the first week. And then on top of that, in your fifth house, which is also related to romance and relationships, you guys are going to have Mercury retrograde. And then the new moon is going to be conjunct Neptune, so there could definitely be some confusion and all kinds of things going on for you guys in the area of relationships in March. So in that regard, this doesn't surprise me, but like I said, the back and forth dynamic is a bit surprising to me. Um, but we'll see what else we could get from the spread. And the present position, so this will be coming into March. You have the Strength card. So this could just be saying some of you are dealing with a Leo. That's definitely a possibility. In some decks, the Strength card is referred to as lust. So this could just be that's what it is, right? Like maybe you're just really drawn to them, like it's a very physical, sexual connection, and maybe that's what keeps pulling you back towards them, right? But on the other front, it's a bit of a toxic connection. In one of the tarot decks I have, actually, there's like a snake in this card as well, so that could be part of it. Um, but I mean, again, since this is Leo energy, and as I just said, there's going to be a lot going on in your fifth house, and fifth house is the house naturally ruled by Leo. Maybe this is really just your energy coming into March. Maybe you're just feeling very energized with all of the stuff going on in Pisces, that's certainly a possibility as well. But yeah, this could just be saying maybe you're finding the strength too to make a decision, whether it is to stay or to go. Either way, right? It could just be saying that you're coming out of that energy of I can't make up my mind and finally moving forward. Um, but yeah, I mean, Leo is your 10th house, and that's, career, social status. So that could definitely be either of those things as well, related to career. And that could be relationships as well. If everyone knows you guys are together, right? That social status in that regard. So that could be what's going on with that. But yeah, I'm really just seeing it as like an on again, off again dynamic. And like I said, obviously some of you can be dealing with the Leo. That's a possibility. All right. In the near future position, we have the Nine of Wands. So to me, this represents that there could have been a lot of conflict in this connection too. You know what I mean? Because if you look at this person, it looks like, they've been wounded, right? It looks like they have a bandage on their head, and it looks like they're on guard, like waiting for the next wand to come, right? So if we look at the wands as conflict in that regard, since they do have that wound, it could just be saying that, you're expecting another conflict to come, right? Maybe you did walk away, and maybe you're like, I know this person's going to come back around. Will I have the strength to, fend them off, right? Or will I end up right back in that dynamic with them again? That could be how they're feeling about you too. It could be either of you or both of you feeling that way. But I'm looking at what they're looking at. It's like in the near future, it's like feeling very guarded. And so whether it's you or the other person, I'm really getting the vibe that for a lot of you, this is you. Like I said, with all that fifth house energy, you could just be taking on that bit of like that Leo type energy in that regard. Could be them feeling that way. But we'll see as we go on. In the position of your influence on the situation, a lot of cards came up. First one is Ten of Swords, Six of Wands, so big improvement from the Ten of Swords energy, right? And we have the Sun card, another pretty good card to get. And we have the King of Swords. So 4 cards there, quite a bit, like I said. So if we look at them in order like a story, to me this looks like this could be saying you finally do end things with this person, or I'm really getting more of a relationship vibe than career or anything else, but we'll try to incorporate some other angles as well. But to me this would represent you finally ending it with this person. And if that's the case, it seems like you feel like a load is lifted off of you, because the Six of Wands is a card viewed as a victory card. It's also a Leo card too, though. Middle 10 degrees of Leo. So if the person you're dealing with, if they have that placement, somewhere in those middle 10 degrees of Leo, this could certainly be referring to them. The Sun card is seen as a card of Leo sometimes as well, just because, they are ruled by the Sun. But to me, the Strength is my primary Leo card. So to me, this would just represent your energy. Like I said, I feel like when this ends, whether you end it or someone even ends it with you, something else comes along to end it, right? It looks like there's just that immediate feeling of victory. Like you got one over, right? No, well, I shouldn't say got one over, but you feel like you were victorious. Feeling more playful, right? More like a weight's been lifted off of you. And then that King of Swords is like that, ability to really stick to it. I mean, it's an Aquarius card too, so if that's pointing to a timeline, it could just be saying, even since I am recording this, like I said, the Sun still is in Aquarius at the time I'm recording this, so that could even be what it's saying too. That this is just pointing to a timeline of when all of this is going to take place. So, let's say you ended it right at the time of Aquarius, right? At the end of the time of Aquarius, you're feeling that way about it. You're feeling like you're in your power, because that would be the present position So that would be right at the start of March. So maybe that would say that the energy would have already played out. This person's still on guard about it, like really, you know what I mean? Like wondering, okay, is this the real deal? Are they really ending it with me, or are we just gonna get back together again, right? And for those of you, if you did find out they were being deceptive with that Seven of Swords at the bottom of the deck, I could definitely see then why that vibe would play out where you would feel this way, right? Like maybe you knew that they did something wrong, and you're like, maybe you were just waiting for the right timing, right? Maybe that's what the Two of Swords was about. It's like you knew what you were gonna do, you knew you had to let it go, but you were waiting for the right timing, and maybe you feel like in doing so, like okay, they thought they got one over on me, but now I'm gonna really walk away for good, and you just feel that weight lifted off of you. Um, And again, with this Aquarian energy, that cold, detached energy could be what the energy that you're taking on in this process. And that's sometimes how those karmic relationships can end. You know, you could feel that pull. Like you feel, to me, it's like the devil card, for example, how the two people are chained together. You know, it's like you feel that pull. And I think you guys had the devil card too in your spread in this position last month, if I remember correctly. So it's like you feel that pull with that person, and like part of you knows that it's not the best connection, but you just keep going back, and then finally it just feels like it clicks one day, right? Where you just wake up out of that fog and you're like, no, I'm done, right? So then maybe that's what some of you guys are dealing with. Then Leo's um, spread for last month, though, was actually about them leaving a relationship out of nowhere. So to be fair, if you are dealing with a Leo as well, it could be that maybe they left you. So, you know, if you were the one doing this, let's say, maybe you were the one that was sneaking around and maybe they found out and left you. You know what I mean? So, what that would mean with this card representing your influence on the situation, that would say if you were the one in that Seven of Swords energy that was doing something you shouldn't have been doing, then, you know, you brought that energy on yourself in that regard. You know what I mean? That could be what it's saying for some of you. You guys will know. You know what I mean? Obviously, not every Scorpio is perfect. So for some of you, it certainly could be that you guys are the ones that were stepping out and caused it to happen. And then maybe that's what that Leo energy is saying, that this is how they feel, right? Like, all right, they thought that they had me, but, you know, and maybe that Aquarius energy for them, that being their opposite sign is what gave them the energy. So for some of you, it could definitely play out the other way around. Either way it plays out, though, underneath this Ace of Pentacles card, so this is the position to the environment right here. We have the Ace of Pentacles and the Justice card. So whoever's in which role, whoever's representing that Seven of Swords, for example, and whoever's causing that Ten of Swords, this looks like justice. So, if you guys are the ones doing dirt, just be wary of that could definitely come back on you. And on the flip side, for those of you who feel that they've been doing you dirty, it's a pretty good card to have in the environment position, because it doesn't necessarily have to represent another person. It's just the energies in the environment sometimes. So, and for some of you, this could even be if it was a marriage and you're leaving a marriage, perhaps, and there's a divorce, maybe they're going to make a settlement offer of some kind. And if that's the case, it looks like it would be a fairly fair one. But I mean, when I see the aces, they don't necessarily always represent a tangible offer to me. Sometimes they're more like in the planning phase. So maybe there's talk about this, right? That okay, if you go to court, this is what you get, right? Maybe it's a lawyer communicating to you. Okay, if you are married to the person and you're trying to get a divorce, this is what can happen. With this, and then the Knight of Pentacles in the foundation, and they are moving towards the direction of you, maybe it's possible, again, like I said, if this is just a cycle that seems like it's never ending, it's possible that they will make a concrete offer towards you. And maybe that's what that's saying there, with the ace combined with that Knight of Pentacles energy. If that's representing their energy more than yours, and it could be a Virgo or someone with Virgo placements, and certainly Leos could have Virgo, Mercury or Venus, let's say, or vice versa. If they're Virgo Sun, they could have a Venus or Mercury in Leo, so maybe that's the connection between the two. But could just be saying that, whatever happens here finally gets them to shape up and give you that offer you've been looking for all along, right? So maybe if they were the non-committal type, maybe you do something where you let them know you're cutting them off, right? And then that makes them have to say, all right, you know what, I can't play around, or I'll lose this person. Let me make them an offer, right? And that restores the balance in the connection. Because in the hopes or fears position, you have Queen of Swords, which is another Libra card. It's just, the minor arcana version of the Libra card. So the good thing is there, if that's a hope, right? That's a good thing, because normally, like I always say, with the hopes or fears position, there's no guarantee it's going to play out. But with the major arcana version of the Libra card in the environment, it looks like it does have a very good chance of playing out this month. And now, if this is a fear for you guys, that's what I'm, especially with the Seven of Swords person looking right at that card. So, like I said, for those of you who, if you've been done wrong, you're hoping for justice, you will get it this month. On the flip side, though, if you guys are the ones who are doing wrong, this could be saying that you're fearing that justice being served. For the majority of you, though, I really feel like it's actually the other person did you wrong. That's really what I'm feeling, given that we have the Chariot in the outcome position. But like I said, some of you naturally, some of you could be the other way around. And like I said, especially if you're dealing with a Leo, you could go back and watch their February reading, because I don't remember all the details of it now, but there was definitely a vibe that I felt like they just might have been leaving a relationship and not even telling the other person. And I think they had Seven of Swords. It might have been at the bottom of their deck too for last month. So it's certainly possible, especially if you're dealing with a Leo, that some of you were the ones who were doing dirt and they just up and bounced. And, that has you feeling that way, and that has them feeling like they're the ones who are victorious, right? And they feel like a weight was lifted off of them. And then that would say that that was the karma playing out there, that this was someone that maybe that's what the Ace of Pentacles is saying there. This is someone that was the real deal. They really were going to offer you something, but, you were doing what you were doing, and now they're gone. But like I said, in the outcome, we do have the Chariot card and the Queen of Wands. So, Chariot card is a card, major arcana card for Cancer. And then the Queen of Wands is a court card that represents Aries. So, to me, this is saying towards the end of the month, when the sun goes into Aries, you'll get some forward movement. And that's what I'm saying, for the majority of you, I really do feel like it was the other person that was the one doing wrong in this situation, because the Chariot is also seen as a victory card. So basically, you have the minor arcana version of what's referred to as the victory card, which is the Six of Wands and the Chariot. So, and like I said, the Justice card in the environment position. So, looks like things are definitely going to pan out for you in that regard. If someone else was doing you wrong in some way, this, another way that this could be playing out too, is the ruler of Aries. Aries is ruled by Mars, and Mars is in your opposite sign. So again, that could just be representing the movement there, saying that this is the area of life it's affecting. For some of you, it really could be leaving one relationship for another as well. Maybe you finally leave the toxic connection behind, right? And you move into a more stable connection with someone else. And that could be what the Chariot with the Queen of Wands is referring to there. Well, yeah, like I said, we have a lot of oracle cards to get to too, so we'll see if they could add any more layers to this spread. So, first one you guys got is Deep Knowing. There's the artwork for it, and it's number 43. So, we'll take a look at those messages. Okay, it says essential meanings: intuition, listening to the oracle within, empathy, hypersensitivity. The oracle's message: intuition is the faculty that allows you to enter into a dialogue with source, the consciousness that you are a part of but cannot see with the naked eye. It's perplexing that people are taught to ignore this natural capacity to navigate their journeys, to access their inner guidance. Know that you have an ability to read between the lines and find all the truth that was missing when the story was told. This deep knowing allows you to open the door to wisdom far greater than what is available to the limitations of human experience. You are given information that may make no sense whatsoever to the logical mind or five senses, but which is 100% correct and true. The trick is to listen and then to act accordingly. You're now invited into the sacred dialogue of deep knowing. So tune in and trust your vibes. They will be right. Ask and you will receive answers from unusual sources. So what stood out to me about that message was talking about you're being given information that may make no sense whatsoever to the logical mind or five senses, but which is 100% correct and true. So maybe that's what it's saying with that Two of Swords energy. It's like you're trying to make sense of the information you got, right? And you're struggling with that. When it's like intuitively you already know what it was trying to tell you, right? So that could be what these two cards are talking about there. The relationship message says, there are occasions when you just know, deep in your heart and soul, that a person is going to play a meaningful role in your life. Someone crosses your path and suddenly, out of the blue, you're connected at a level impossible to describe. That feeling marks a moment in time etched indelibly onto your soul. Someone has entered your life who will be instrumental in your journey, so pay attention. Two hearts are calling to each other to begin an alchemical process. This is also a sign that your intuition about the person you care about is correct. Trust your heart to lead you now. Magic is about to happen. So I will say, that sounded pretty positive as far as the whole relationship vibe, whereas like I said, with these energies here, I'm getting the vibe of someone ending a relationship without a doubt. But like it says, it's pretty heavy emphasizing the intuition thing. So if intuitively you do feel like, they didn't do anything wrong, that might be something to keep in mind. Like I said, you will have Mercury in retrograde in your fifth house pretty much most of March. So that could lead to some confusion. And then you couple that with the Mars energy in the opposite sign, it could just be some harsh arguments going back and forth. But I mean, you never really have to tell a Scorpio to trust their intuition, right? So, if you're ever up in the air about it one way or the other, where you can lean either way, definitely lean on your intuition. Like I said, you could be trying to make sense of something on a logical level that, it's not possible to do it, right? It's like, it doesn't seem like it makes sense to you. That's why you might be stuck in that energy, but deep down, it really is what it is. And then the prosperity message says, this is a time when your hunches will pay large dividends if you listen to them, take the risk, and act. Within you there is an oracular consciousness, a higher and deeper knowing that transcends the machinations of the smaller thinking mind. At the deep level of your intuitive senses, you have an access point to the genius of the collective. The energies of all thinkers and creators, all inventors and leaders, and all that you need in order to leap into success are available to tune into. This is an act of listening intently. Past the busy mind, your genius awaits. So past the busy mind, your genius awaits. That sticks to me again. Like I said, with the Two of Swords energy, maybe that's what it's saying. Past your mind, the genius awaits, meaning, again, you might just be trying to think of something too logically when it's like intuitively you already know what you need to do, right? That could be what that's saying there. And that could be, again, like I said, with all the energy in your fifth house, it doesn't necessarily have to be relationships. It could be some creative project, especially from the overall vibe from that message that you're trying to get off the ground. But like I said, we have like 500 more oracle cards to get to, so we'll keep it moving. The first one you got from the Spirit Animal Oracle was Crow Spirit, and it says co-create with spirit. As you can see, there's the artwork for it, and it's number 17 in case that resonates with some of you. So I'll read the messages for that. Okay, it says, as you look around you, can you sense the magic that pulses through the world? Have you witnessed how every thought can become a thing? How every intention can call the universe into action as the sacred laws shape what you experience? The universe works in perfect order. When you align your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs with spirit, you will want to grow with delight, feeling the excitement and wonder of being in harmony with something much larger than yourself. Crow Spirit says you are right on target now to see your dreams magically come into being in the visible world. The laws of abundance, compensation, frequency, and praise are operating in your favor now. Remember to be grateful and praise what is yours, even if it is still coalescing into form, still residing in the invisible realm of co-creation. No matter what area of life you're concerned with now, what you hope for is on its way, for Spirit is your co-creation partner. So, I mean, that's obviously a pretty positive message there. Compensation, frequency, and praise are operating in your favor now. Maybe that's what the Ace of Pentacles with the Justice card is about. Like I said, especially for some of you, if this is related to finance, even though my messages were primarily focusing on relationships, that could just be referring to that area of life as well. All right, the next one we got, and maybe it ends up being that, maybe one of those cards resonates with some of you, and then another card resonates with the rest. We'll see. But this particular one is Cat Spirit. It says, claim your independence. Here's the artwork for it. Looks like a pretty woke cat. Looks like he's about to slap somebody too. And then the number is 13, which is actually the same number as your major arcana card. So maybe some significance to that. And especially claim your independence. And like I said, if this has been an on again, off again, maybe, and we have a big cat there, right? So maybe that's saying that this is the month when you finally are able to break free from that, and maybe that gets you into a more healthy connection. All right. It says, when Cat Spirit meows, she is calling you to claim your independence and allow for some space between you and others in your life. The only way you can grow in all your relationships now is to have a healthy sense of self-respect and self-worth. When you walk with dignity, knowing who you are, self-aware and willing to grow, trusting the value you bring, the world will mirror all this back to you in kind. When you say no to codependency and enmeshment, live and let live, and practice taking risk as you wander into new territory for you, Cat Spirit rejoices. She is here to urge you to let your independent spirit roam free. So the let your independent spirit roam free part made me think of the Sun card in particular. Let your independent spirit roam free. That's the vibe that I get from that card there. So hopefully that resonated with some of you in that regard. And then let's go to the next one. So this one is Otter Spirit. It says you are never alone. And the number there is 42. And there's the artwork for it. So this one says, like true friends, otters nurture each other and express their affection through touch. Actions such as holding hands and giving hugs offer reassurance that we are never really alone and that we are always cherished. Otter Spirit has appeared to remind you to experience and express friendship in a tangible and even tactile way. Communicate with your voice, your facial expressions, your gestures, and your actions, letting your love express itself beyond just the words you speak. Outer Spirit's message is that presence matters, so remember to be fully present with those you care about, helping them sense the love and affection and appreciation you have for them. Now is a time for a joyful celebration of the love in your life that expresses as friendship and companionship. Hug someone, touch their arm, or simply look into their eyes with your full attention, saying, I care. You matter. Make time for friendship. Otter Spirit promises that the moment you reach out, you will remember that you too have many who love and care about you. You are never alone, and you are always loved. So reading that message actually made me think that for some of you, this part of what this could be about too is maybe you were in a state of depression, for example, with that Ten of Swords there, and maybe that's saying that, you know, whatever the case may be, something comes along this month that gets you out of that, right? So maybe you're going back out, getting back out, your friends are happy to see you again, you know, see you feeling like yourself again, you're feeling a bit more playful, more energized. So maybe that's what it's about, and you're finally, you know, leaving that behind you, cutting that out of your life. That could be what that's pointing to there. And then finally, we have a mudra card to get to, and then we'll wrap up. So the mudra that you guys got for this month is the Anjali mudra. So I've been doing this for a couple months now, but for those of you who are only seeing this for the first time, what mudras are basically is they're gestures or poses that you make with your hands, usually while you're meditating. You could hold it for anywhere from 5 minutes to half hour, 45 minutes. If you're not used to meditating, that might sound extreme to you, and I feel you there, but you know, 5 minutes is usually about the minimum, but it could still get the job done. And this is the actual gesture that you would make with your hands or pose you would make. And the keyword for this one is reverence. So I'll flip the card around so you guys can, you know, either pause it or take a screenshot of the messages in case you were interested in it. Okay, there we go. And as you can see, for benefits, it says calming and centering, facilitates connection to the heart and central channel, evokes feelings of humility, reverence, and devotion. So, I mean, it's an interesting one. It's pretty much like almost your regular prayer gesture, right? And it even says that that's the English translation of it. But I'll put this in the description as well in case you guys wanted to look into it some more. You know, whether it be a Google search or maybe even look on YouTube to see if they have videos about it. But aside from that, that's all the messages I have for this month, guys, and I'll see you next month. Bye.